Dear lovers of Echo Code, welcome back to Echo Code. I was supposed to deliver this to you last week, but I wasn't feeling too well. But I thank God for good health now. Okay, this is just to close up the puzzle. And if you haven't been following, or if you followed like few pieces of the puzzle, let me just give you a list of the 10 of them. And we have colorism, guilt, single parenting, unforgiveness, rape, sense of belonging, singleness, that's singleness, weed, alcohol, and body shaming. So these 10 pieces, I was able to put them together. And there's one thing I want us to understand. It doesn't mean that's like the whole piece of it, but I just have to point out this very, very open things that we don't talk about very often. We actually do talk about them, but we don't bring them together the way I did. And I wanted to point out how these things affect your Christian life. Okay, the thing is that there is no special explanation to it per se, because immediately after the videos, I usually tell you what God thinks about it. But there's something I want to bring out to us. Because when we're talking about issues of body shaming or colorism, most especially, we don't say much about it in the Christian community. And as little as you go, I think this experience happened to me, and a woman actually from church was shouting from her, "Oh, you're getting fat, you're getting fat," and I will call that body shaming. So we even see that in the Christian environment, where those are older than us, or even our mates, or I don't know, they just say these things like, "Oh, look at your arms, look at them, look at how it looks." And because it does not involve praising God or praying, we think it does not matter. We think it's not something that is significant. And sometimes, I don't know how pathetic this can be, but we mostly get insulted over things that we have little control over. Like, for instance, the color of your skin. Like, "Oh, you're too black for a girl, you're too fair for a guy." Just this very silly issues. And how is rape, for instance, how is it discussed in a church environment? Well, that's something. And we can see a lot of unforgiveness, bitterness in church. Let's be honest, we see that a lot. And then you're like, "I don't want to be this person," and then things like that. And in terms of singleness, let's not even get into that. That's the topic entirely on its own. In the Christian environment, see that brother now, you're a sister, you've been in church for this long. All I'm saying with all those issues is that the church does not deal with them. I don't think there was a sermon, if not for the very modern churches that we have nowadays, but let's say the old ones, they really discuss drunkenness, they don't really discuss weed per se. Maybe they do. I've not exactly seen much, to be honest. Now, if you've been through any issues, any piece of this puzzle that I just mentioned, maybe you've been insulted for your body, color of your skin, your complexion basically, or you've been through things like rape, or you struggled through an addiction, maybe to alcohol or weed, or you've dealt with unforgiveness, or you've had to live with single parents, and how people can look. Because there was a time I had something like marrying someone from a broken home is very, very unadvisable, and I was like, having both parents does not still make you a good person, but anyway, that's on one side. And then trying to find our sense of belonging, something that is very important, because most especially when we talk about finding our sense of belonging, we our crew, or should I say our clique, kind of affects the kind of church we go to. Like, for instance, my sense of belonging, like people I get to mingle with, we have this idea of what Christ is like. Now we should be, and that's why most times you just see this set of friends going to like the same church, believing the same doctrine, because our perspective to life, where that sense, the way we see how we belong in life, it's for me, it just it determines how we see God and how we do things basically. Now, with all these issues that I mentioned, Happiness is key, and joy is found in the Lord. And to me, happiness is not exactly the absence of your problems or not having problems at all. I think people choose to be happy, and happiness is the ability to actually deal with your problems, the way you can deal with them. Let me read out 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 8 to 11. And it says, "We are pressed on every side by troubles, but we are not crushed. We are perplexed, but we are not driven to despair. We are hunted down, but never abandoned by God. We get knocked down, but we are not destroyed. Through suffering, our bodies continue to share in the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be seen in our bodies." And then verse 11, "Yes, we live under constant danger of death because we serve Jesus, so that the life of Jesus will be evident in our dying bodies." Paul said this. And most times I think we don't understand, like, why did this happen to me? Okay, why am I like this? What is going on? And then Jesus said something in John chapter 13, verse 7. He said, Jesus replied, okay, to Simon Peter that asked him a question, that, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" And then Jesus replied, "You don't understand now what I'm doing, but someday you will." And I think that goes for every one of us. We don't understand why we have to go through the things that we went through, but Jesus Christ is telling us here that we're going to understand. Now, let's look at Psalm 40, verse 4. And it says that, "Oh, the joys of those who trust the Lord, who have no confidence in the proud or in those who worship idols." So basically, bringing all of this together, I want it to be a thing, or it should be things that should be discussed in the Christian environment. And let's be careful. Let's not, in the name of Christian brothers or Christian sisters, what's it called? Bring down others. Let's be careful with our words, basically. So talking about these 10 pieces of the puzzle is something that we should be careful of. Make sure that we are sensitive about, especially things that have to do with body shaming or people going through addictions. And sometimes we feel like, oh, because I'm not addicted to it, then I'm a better Christian. But it doesn't really work that way. I mean, sin is sin to God. And then rape victims, like, I feel most times people use Christianity to not to actually build themselves up. They just think because they're Christians, other parts of their life, such as interpersonal communication, interpersonal relationships, should be washed down the drain. They don't watch their mouth, they don't filter their words. And it shouldn't be that way, because I mean, we're trying to gather people, not scatter people. And you can destroy a person mentally or emotionally or psychologically by your words. And I mean, don't expect, if you go to the person and tell the person Jesus loves you, like, I mean, what are you preaching? What are you preaching? So these 10 pieces of the puzzle, for those of us that have been through it, or you know someone that's been through it, and we know how these things can affect how we see God. And talking about addictions and rape and then guilt, in fact, to be honest, it's just, we feel like we should run away from God, just like Adam and Eve did. So I had to bring out these issues so that I can point out to us that these things actually affect the way we see God. We feel like we should run away from him, not to him, because we feel, oh, maybe he doesn't understand, or he doesn't really know much about it. I'm sure, even though that I brought out the issue on weed and what God says about it, I'm sure many people don't actually know that God actually addressed weed as a thing. So I want it to be known to us that issues like weed, like body shaming, like colorism, I mean, God is very much aware of it. Like, it took time to create you, so if he needed you to be that black, then you are that black. Like, he didn't make mistake. It's not like he added too much black color, if that's what it's called, to your body. Like, I mean, he was very conscious of what he was doing. So whatever it is, I want us to understand that he's very much aware of these things that we go through. Now, let's read Romans chapter 8, verse 28 to 29. And it says that, "And we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God, and are called according to his purpose for them. For God knew his people in advance, and he chose them to become like his son, so that his son would be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters." You know what? Let me read to 30. 30 says here that, and having chosen them, he called them to come to him, and having called them, he gave them right standing with himself, and having given them right standing, he gave them his glory. Ta-da! I think that was like simple and clear, and I was able to point out everything that I needed to point out. But we can see that these things actually come together, and God is actually very conscious of these things. Please remember, filter your words when you need to. Be careful. Let those be careful with our words. I'm going to give an announcement next week, but let me just stop this video right now, or this podcast, which one you're listening to right now. So anyway, thank you so much. Share this video. Like, let's promote Epocode together. Our subscribers are building. Our podcast, the website views, like Epocode is growing, but we can go faster than this. So let's do it together. And please pray for Epocode. Pray for me. You know I need God to keep doing this. I'll see you next week, God willing. I love you. God loves you. Don't forget that. And bye.